It's too early for this. Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? Today I have a story time for everyone. This story time happens, I think I was in Form 3, which would place it around 2017, yes. Like most Kenyans, I went to an all-boys boarding secondary school, but it was on the higher end. I was in light, basically, yes. So a few pointers for this story because they become very key, they become very pertinent to the story. In our school, we weren't beaten. We weren't beaten, but we had this thing called a point system. So they were separate. So there was like dorm points and there's class or administrative block points, I guess. Every term you start with 100 points, and every wrong thing you do, you get points off. And by I think it was like 85, they call your parents, and then by 70, I don't know. I remember that you didn't want to go below 60 because I think 60 was suspension, something like that. Below 50 was basically indefinite suspension, which meant expulsion, basically. Something else you need to know. I was what would be described to me. I was boring. I was literally boring. Before this, barely any teachers knew me by name, literally. And I would not fail, but I wouldn't like pass highly. I'm not going to say I didn't pass. I passed, but I didn't pass highly. So I was in that middle ground and I was maintaining it quite well because literally no one knew me in terms of teachers and also students. Like people knew me, but they didn't know me. So basically, yes, I was boring. That was me. That's how I would describe me. And that was disrupted a bit by this certain incident. But anyways, we move regardless. Now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about what happened. So basically what happened is at the beginning of each term were allocated different rooms, and administration had changed this year. So before, everything was very relaxed. Like I remember people were going beyond zero, like in points. People were going beyond zero and they were not getting any repercussions. But administration changed and I forgot that you need to change with the times. But anyway, hindsight 2020, you guys get a story time. I get, we're just going to call it character development.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
So this term started with me in a room with people I didn't particularly know. And yes, you should explore your options and you should make friends. But I was in Form 3. I didn't need that many friends. I had my friends from my class because our class went through a lot. A lot of my friends were in one room, and in that one room, I remember there was one space that was left by someone who had transferred to the IGCSE side, but the system still registered him as he was in 844. Therefore, there was an empty space, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna decide to move without asking anyone, without asking for permission, without consulting the dorm master, and that was mistake number 1. I was giving my bedding to go and spread on my bed, but I was like, you know what, I'm not going to unpack and put everything in this room because I don't want to stay in this room, so I moved everything to that room. Mistake number 2. Therefore, I unpacked and I did everything in that room as if it was my room. Something else to note, they had put a rule that you're not allowed to move your bedding because a lot of people were doing that during entertainment. They were taking blankets to other rooms and they wanted to minimize that. But honestly, I don't remember if it changed that much. So basically, they had enforced that rule and I was like, they've said this before, it's not going to be implemented. Mistake number 3. They said they were going to take a roll call. Who decided that they're not going to take roll call? Mr. B. I said, they're not going to take roll call. This is just a bluff. This is just to get people in the beds by lights out. I was like, nothing. How many mistakes can you count? I'm counting 4. The 4. That night, and by that night I mean the first night of school, sure enough, roll call was taken, and obviously I wasn't in my bed, and someone was in the bed of someone who had transferred, and we were supposed to go and like tell the dorm master if we wanted to change. Let me preference this by saying prefix prefer pref let me say this before I say what I'm going to say. We got a new dorm master. I know this is not a it's not an excuse, but this dorm master seems so standoffish, and he always seemed like he was so busy, and I was like, that just added on to me not wanting to go and ask him. So they take roll call. Obviously I'm not in my bed, so I'm there in my bed, and I hear someone coming into the room taking roll call, and I'm like,
it was at this moment that he knew.
Okay. So the next day comes, I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe I'll lose like 5-10 points. It was very crucial to me because like I never lost points. The only time I lost points was wrongfully because I had left the school, and I left my bed untidy when I left school because I was sick. Like, do you expect me to start thinking about conjuring my bed sheet when I am living in agony? That was the only time I lost points. At the end of the week, they post they had a list of like the points for every room. You would appear lowest if you had the lowest points. So I was like, oh god. And then I start hearing rumors that someone has lost 45 points, and I'm like, who? I'm like, that's not me, but I'm so sorry. Should we start packing your bags now? And I was like, I genuinely didn't think it was me because I was like, 45 points. They call it exaggerated, but not that much.
Stupid.
Basically, that day I was like, you know what? If I don't go and change rooms, I'll lose more points. Because I know I had lost points. At this point, I was like, I've lost points, but I didn't think it was me who lost 45. I was like, it's not me. But anyways, I went to officially like go to the dorm master and tell him, oh, I want to switch rooms. And it was a very easy process. Honestly, this could all have been avoided if I had just sucked up my pride and gone to the dorm master. I sat down there, and then I gave him my name. And then he looked at me and he was like, you're in big trouble. And I'm like,
huh? I'm sorry, what?
Basically, my cover was blurred because I don't remember if it was that night or one of the nights. I think it was a night. We went for a meeting at night at the auditorium, and then my physics teacher, he's standing there, and then he's like, you know, some of you are losing 20 points, 45 points. You shouldn't be doing this on the first week. And I'm like, oh wow. And everyone starts looking at me, obviously, because almost everyone knows that it's me. So I'm just there like,
I want to go home, please.
my parents are going to be called. That was a given. So now let's go into the part where I cannot believe this happened, but at the same time I'm happy it happened. I don't know, 50-50. I was like, okay, so how did I lose 45 points? I was like, okay, I didn't know that moving beds would be this devastating. I think it was the next day or a day or two after. I assume both of my parents were called, but my mom is the one who appeared in school. And I was just like, wow. My mom came, and I had to go to the principal's office. So I was like, this is the first time I'm going to go to the principal's office for something discipline related. Like, I was scared. I sat down and I'm like, okay, it's time to face the music. Low-key, I was like, okay, what could they charge me with for 45 points higher? Okay, so I sit down. The first thing he asks me, why did you move to the other dormitory? And I'm like, other dormitory? And then he said, yes, you moved to the east wing and you're in the West Wing. And I was like, wait, hold on, pause. To put this into perspective, because I did not explain it, the East Wing had Form 1 and Form 2, and the West Wing had Form 3 and Form 4. You're not even going to give me time to explain myself. You just decided I moved to the East Wing, and I was in the West Wing. If I'm to summarize what he said, I was being charged basically 20 points for lying to a authority, 10 points for moving my bedding, 5 points for not being in my bed by lights out, and another 10 points. I do not know where that came from, but anyways, you get the point. So I'm just sitting there like I have no defense, no one is helping me, and I was just like, oh god, this is how I go out. This is how Kim gets known. It's not even because of his grades, it is because of discipline. Hi, Shai. So obviously, me, I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see my points, and my points are going to be 65.
Hold up. Stupid.
You know, I'll probably be called by the dormmaster and he'll tell me, oh, you're suspended and stuff like that because of da 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 da. Hiya. End of the week comes. The list comes out. Guess how many points Emmanuel Kimemia Maina has? 100.
Okay.
You want to tell me I went through all this stress? I literally thought of packing up. I was like, this is how I go out. And my points aren't even cut. Like at this point, I was just like, you know what? Cut my points, because at a kumi, like, make my stress justifiable. Like, you can't do all this and my points stay at 100 by the day. It's not fair. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to my emotions. I'm sorry, that's just not how it works. So basically, I went through all this stress. My mom was called to the school for nothing. For nothing. They basically wanted to make an example of me. Me, mwenye sijaifanya kitu mimi. Me.
You did this for what?
Why not?
Why?
Why not?
Moral of the story, don't try to be someone you're not. Stay in your lane. Because that, I was like, oh, I'm going to be bad. And then just, I was like, why are you running? Where are you going? It's like, and don't worry about me. I recovered.
Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god! What is that?
I became boring again, don't worry. And somehow all the teachers forgot about me, even the one who announced. I don't even know how. But you know what? That was the plan. A quick question. Have any of you actually had like any experiences? If you do, comment so that I don't feel like any scares of school. If you have, just comment them down below so that I don't feel alone. But anyways, if you like this video, like it, subscribe so you can see more, turn on notifications so that you know when I post. Share this video if you think it's funny or if you at least relate. So yeah, bye.